So, a little bit about who am I. I'm Manny Singh. I am the CEO of Bobble Digital. I've got over 10 years experience in digital marketing. I started off at Kara, Dentsu, then made my way over into marketing, now known as IMA. That's where I met the amazing Jonathan. I worked on leading brands from everything from, Adidas, Interface, Bupa, Liverpool Football Club. Great result this weekend for us. I know I'm from Leeds, but I support Liverpool. It is what it is. But I'm an advocate of digital marketing, education, and in 2023, and then they stopped in 2024 because I talk so well, or I talk too much. They awarded me Speaker of the Year, which was fantastic. I do have a podcast as well, and again, it's all educational. I am not here to sell you anything today. I'm just here to educate every single one of you as best as I can. So you walk away thinking, shit, I'm not doing that. I need to start doing that right now. But I do have a podcast. We've got over 100 episodes with different guests talking about different topics, not just about SEO, AEO, but like PPC, meta, social, with different kind of content. It's called Bobble Pod. It's on every streaming platform, and this will actually get turned into a podcast, the talk itself, at some point as well. So that's that as well. So what do I want you guys to take away from today? I'll be really happy when you walk out those doors and you've come back and you've kind of really understood, like, we're going to discuss AI and the impact it's having, first and foremost. Then we're going to be talking about, like, SEO and how the market and how the actual consumer mindset within search has changed and how it's adapting. I want you to be able to understand what AEO is, what are LLMs, like, literally what the hell is LLM? Everyone's throwing these buzzwords around. People are also calling it GEO as well, so there's a lot of acronyms going out. And it's not going to change now. What's happening now is going to change in terms of what we see over the next 5 years as a trend within digital, not just digital marketing, but within search directly. So I want you to be able to understand, where does your website, where does your brand, if you're an agency, how can I start adapting to AEO optimizations? If you're a company, how can I start optimizing my website to feature in AI overviews and start featuring in like responses like ChatGPT, or AI Gemini, or Claude, or Perplexity, etc., and stuff like that. So we're going to cover quite a lot. So if I do talk a lot, I apologize, but it's for your benefit. Right, so what is AEO? So we're calling it Answer Engine Optimization. As simple as that. Other people are calling it GEO, but I'm on the team that's AEO, so I'm west side, they're like east side. So AEO is basically getting your website listed in AI-powered searches such as like ChatGPT, Perplexity, Claude, AI Gemini. It's simple as that. Answer engine optimization. Generative engine optimization is the same thing. It's generative in terms of response. The meanings are the same. Just realize is that I call it AEO, but some other people in the industry might call it GEO, but ultimately it just means the exact same thing. It's how do you list your websites and results so that when you're using ChatGPT 5, or if you're using any other kind of like AI Gemini tool, how does your website, your article, your link, or your information appear as part of that result? And I've got some good case study examples of that coming through. We're going to look at it from a technical point of view in terms of how it also crosses over with SEO, because if you don't have your search engine optimization in place as a foundation first, then forget about AEO optimizations. Sorry, I can feel my mic jumping in and out. Is that right? Is it just me? Right, but you can all hear me anyway, can't you? Great, fantastic. So we're going to talk about the technical side in terms of like schema markup and how you can actually start getting your website prepared from a foundation and technical point of view so that you can be in a position where these LLM can start scraping your website, and actually getting you paid on their platforms. What is an LLM? I actually had to Google this like 2 weeks ago because I didn't even know what the LLM stood for. I just know the acronym. It actually means large language model, which is basically a type of artificial design. Essentially, all it is just bringing together a lot of data analysis done at basically rapid time. It's trained data, deep learning, pattern recognition, and prediction. That's essentially what all ChatGPT and all these platforms do in the crux of it. So we call it artificial intelligence, but really it's just large language models. That's what it means, essentially. So it's training on massive data sets, deep learning, and looking at complex patterns, but faster and quicker than our human brain can actually do, which is quite interesting. And what are the LLMs out there? So when we talk about LLM, what do we actually mean? So you've got, obviously, the main ones. Hands up if you're using ChatGPT. Yeah, great. Hands up if you're still using it to write your content for your website. See, that's a trick question. So DeepSeek, Gemini, Meta, LeChat, Copilot, Claude, Perplexity. For weeks I couldn't say that. I was saying Perplexity or something like that. It was really difficult and embarrassing on stage. You've got Grok, and then you've got like PI, ChatLM, Owen. There's so many. And this market will get saturated in the next 12 months because there's always something new going to come out. And beyond that, what we've got now is loads of new tools. So hands up if you're using tools like SEMrush. Yeah, using Ahrefs, Screaming Frog, stuff like that. There's so many individual little AI SEO tools now available for you to use, but I use one in particular to help me with AEO, and I'll be going through that as part of the slides. But quick question for the audience. I like a bit of audience participation. Who here is actually using AI tools like ChatGPT as part of their everyday life? Right, I'm going to pick on somebody. Who am I going to pick on? Who's still got their hand up? You had your hand up, didn't you?
I did.
Yeah. What's your name for the crowd?
My name's Carl.
Are you single, just so we can tell everyone?
No.
No. So, sorry ladies, he's gone. So, ChatGPT, do you have it on your phone?
Yep.
Have you actually input instructions into your ChatGPT to automate it towards you?
Yes.
What instructions did you give it?
Tone of voice, how I want it to talk to me,
Yeah.
to remove words that I distinctly dislike.
Okay. Has anybody else done that? Has anyone who just uses it just to say, right, can't be asked writing this, next blog, right? Write me a blog about top 5 digital marketing trends, and then starts rewriting it. Who uses it for basic stuff like that? Who uses it on a very technical level? Just show of hands. That's it. Fantastic. I use it, and I've trained mine. I've actually given it a name as well, which is Friday. Does everyone get where Friday comes from? Iron Man, because my name's Manny and I call myself Iron Manny. Not really, I'm a bit of a nerd, can't help it. Right, so who else is using AI outside of just using tools like ChatGPT? Who uses it as part of, when I say their everyday life, for example, like, is it in your phone in terms of answering calls for you? Is it managing your emails for you? No? Just one?
So it's not like, it was like when I went on holiday recently.
Yeah.
I wasn't sure what to do. We had like limited time somewhere, and I actually put into ChatGPT what are the good things we could do to like entertain us, and it gave me full itinerary.
Okay, cool.
So,
Right, so the reason I'm talking about AI first is because this is the problem you're going to face over the next 5 years, which is a lot of people right now don't really even understand digital marketing to the fullest. Not even me. I mean, I've been doing it for 10 years and it's ever evolving and changing. But in order to understand stuff like AEO and search engine optimization, you've got to really start to understand AI and how it works, and understand the mindset of stuff like AI Overview, AI Gemini, AI Mode, and how all this differentiates. It's a whole new learning curve. I spend more time now learning than I do actually running my business, because I'm trying to keep up with what's going on. But what I started to do first was looking at tools like ChatGPT, but where I'm at to now is if someone calls me on my mobile phone, I don't answer my calls anymore. Friday does that. She takes the message, she takes the call, and you interact with her and have a conversation with her, and then she sends me a text message and email, and then my AI within my email picks it up and schedules a call, or drops you an email and follows up. I ain't got time for it anymore. I don't want to do it. No offense, I just don't like taking calls. Which is good, because I'm less spending time on dealing with like messages and phone calls, because I know if they're gonna be bothered to leave a message, it's important. If not, they can call back or follow up later. It's all about making efficiencies, not just in your everyday life, but now we're going to talk about making efficiencies in your actual job and workplace within AEO. So, how is AI changing consumer behavior? So, within SEO, from a perspective, it's 5 key things. The invisible funnel. 70% of buying decisions are made off-site. They're not made on-site, off-site. You've got AI as a new gatekeeper, so ChatGPT, Gemini, Perplexity. You've got that answer-first mentality that's coming in, and we'll talk about zero-click positions shortly. Content fragmentation, summarizing your content across multiple platforms like Reddit forums, review sites without clicks. And then you've got what I want you to take away is like a bit of like a shift from metrics that used to be rankings and position to also more like actual AI overviews and positioning, and in terms of like keyword intent, in terms of like what is actual like awareness, what is conversational, etc. So I gave myself a reminder to tell you a story about this clicker. Now this clicker here is very famous. It's gone with me everywhere. And it's the only clicker I've ever had in the last like 3 years for showcases. But something happened to me at the start of this year where I forgot this clicker, and everyone at the marketing showcase in Manchester relies on me and my clicker, and we're all doomed because I left mine in the office. So what I thought very quickly was like, I'm sure there's an app I can use on my iPhone that recreates a clicker. So I went onto Google, typed in clicker app for iPhone, an AI overview came up, gave me 3 apps. I went onto my phone, went into the App Store, saw the PowerPoint clicker app in the App Store, downloaded it. It gave me a bit.ly link to copy and paste into a web browser to download onto my desktop. I did that, got the app, started testing it, and throughout that whole actual event in Manchester, I had my phone out and I was just using it as a clicker like that, simple as. What's the one thing I didn't do? Can anyone tell me? In that whole process, there's something I did, but there's something I didn't do, which is really important. Can anyone guess?
Google search?
Well, I did do Google search, but I didn't click on anything. I went to Google, I need an app or that replicates this clicker. I saw the app in the AI overview. When you go and actually get your phones out now and just type in anything that you want to look for, maybe if you type in like top 10 tips to sleep well at night, you see the little pay-per-click link that comes at the end of an AI view. People aren't clicking on that. So if you're seeing a trend in a drop-off in your actual traffic from your actual organic site, it's coming through something different. It's coming through either direct, because when you think of that whole process, where does the attribution go? Does it go to the App Store because I typed in the app name into the Apple App Store? Does it go through direct because they're going to be tracking that bit.ly link and seeing how many people download the direct? Actually, the real attribution goes to Google and Google AI Overview, because that's where I got my answer. But I didn't click on a link like you used to have with the 10 traditional links you now have on the site to go to a site and actually read the article on that website or that review site. Instead, I got the answer straight away. So one less step to getting towards a conversion. And that's what I meant, like it's changing the way consumers think, answer first mentality, and actually focusing on actually getting quicker to the responses and conversions that are happening offline. That's why I talk about that story, because it's a really good example. So we've got that answer first mentality. You've got the traditional 10 blue links, as I used to call them, that everybody used to have. So you're scanning blog posts, but that's 2012 stuff, that's like 2015 stuff. If the answer isn't served on a silver platter, they're out. That's what we're seeing with consumers and behavior. So we've entered into what we call the 0 clicks era. And what I mean by the 0 clicks era is, there's some stats here for you. So like 58.5% of Google searches in the US and 59.7% in the UK right now end with 0 clicks. I Googled that, so you can assume the data is going to be correct. Search Engine Land reported that 60% of searches in 24-25 didn't lead to an organic click. So if you're optimizing yourself for SEO stuff right now and focus on rank, and your clients, or you're thinking, I'm not delivering results to my clients because like we're position 1, but traffic's going down, I'm in Search Console, we're seeing the impressions go up, but the click-through rate go down, that's your answer. That's what's going on right now. And that's hard to explain when you're an agency and sat in front of a client saying, look, you're position 1, but it's working, but we can't tell you it's working because it's kind of really hard to track right now, because Search Console doesn't give you that level of insight. People want answers, not options. So that's why I have the example right there of the AI overview of what to do. And this is what I mean. It's like, there's that little link click that goes to the article that comes from it. But that is crawled by Google. That's crawled by AI Gemini, either from your website or from another website that gives you value. So we're going from click-through rates and from rankings to AI mentions as the most valuable form of like actual metric that you want to cover off from an SEO AEO point of view. So there's a new psychology of search. So if you look at AI chatbot traffic year on year, it's up nearly, just over 80%. So 55.2 billion visits between April and March. That's not a small amount. That's a lot amount. But when you compare that to like traditional search engines like Google, it's down 0.51%. That's quite interesting. So Google is a little under threat. And I knew Google was under threat because I was at the cinema and I saw an advert for Google AI Overview. And I was like, why is Google advertising its platform? It's got a monopoly. Over 90% of search globally compared to like likes of Bing. But I was like, it kind of goes to show that everyone is aware of ChatGPT and using it for answers, but they're not really using it within like Gemini or tools like that. So when you look at Google, 14 billion searches a day. ChatGPT is rumored around 37.5. I can't get as much accurate data on ChatGPT, but it's only going to increase. And I can kind of predict. Anyone here do PPC as well? Google Ads. This isn't Google Ads talk, but I've made a prediction at the start of the year. I said by 2030, in Google, you will go in and you will give it a prompt to create your ad campaign, and that's it. I want a campaign to target X demographic to this website. You'll already link your account there. It'll create the ads for you. It'll build a campaign, keep to this cost per lead, keep to this cost per acquisition, track it, all elements. You'll just give it a prompt like you do ChatGPT and then build a campaign and run it for you. I guarantee you in 5 years, that's what's going to happen with Google Ads as a platform. And that's important to start thinking about in terms of prompts, and that's what we're on about in terms of answer engine optimization. So how is SEO changing beyond this point? So how is it responding to that? You've got Google AI Overviews. You've got the decline of the 10 blue links. That's what Jonathan taught me years ago. Thanks, Jonathan. Aside from that there. The rise of structured data, so like schema, FAQs. SERP no longer being the actual destination. So SERP for anyone who's search engine result pages. And then we've got, that SEO to AEO shift, which is going on. So let's go into it in detail. The decline of 10 blue links. Remember when you used to go on Google and there used to be 10 links and you used to see a few ads at the top, and that's literally what it used to be. That's not what happens. Now I want you to pay attention to the image on the right quickly. So I put in what is the best AI tool for content? Just as an example, I'm going to show you. At the top, you've got the AI overview, but if we watch, you've got the AI overview, came up with Jasper AI, then you had videos. After videos, you had a people also ask section, and then you had discussions and forums, and then you had the first blue link. So position 1 means fuck all, to be honest with you. What really matters is the 0 click, because you had an AI overview, you had YouTube videos, you had people also ask as a SERP feature, and then you even had forums like Quora and Reddit come up before even the first blue link came up. So if you're focused right now SEO-wise, I just want to rank position 1, good, fantastic, great foundation, but you're missing the opportunity from an answer engine optimization in terms of how much actual space Google on page 1 is giving to these platforms as part of the search results. Because it knows more than us. It knows what users and behaviors are doing on its platform. So back then, you'd have the classic 10 links. Now you've got AI overviews, featured snippets like people also ask, video carousels, QA summaries, Quoras, forums. You have to start optimizing your content, not just for Google anymore and Bing, but other platforms. The reason we have a video over here, a videographer today, is I want to record all this. It's going to get transcribed. We're going to create a YouTube video of it. And when someone types in AEO is the new SEO, or AEO and SEO in some terms, hopefully in that video section, my video from my YouTube platform will come up. And then in the actual description of that, there'll be a link to my website, or there'll be a link to booking a consultation call. You're going a bit further up in the funnel, guaranteed, but that's how you've got to start thinking about where do you position it. It's strategy and planning. So you've got to broaden your strategy a bit more. It's more brand features than anything else. SERP is no longer their destination. I used to love this image. Page 2 of Google. And if anyone watched Thor: The Dark World, it was like you must be truly desperate to come to me for help. I always felt that was page 2. If you got to page 2, you are desperate for an answer in terms of what you're looking for on Google, because we never really go beyond page 1. Now, I don't know how accurate this statistic is or this information is, but I'm told that platforms like ChatGPT look at the first 3 pages of Google now. So you don't have to have too much emphasis on actual getting on position 1, but if you do want to be featured in an AI overview, you've got to have that authority from your site. So it's not the longer destination. So you've got, SEO aimed at winning the click from Google. get people to my site. From that, I can retarget them. From that, I can take them on a great journey. They can read a case study. They can read a case study from my website. They can do all the things, and they can complete that conversion funnel action on my site, or further down, we can capture their data. The new reality is the search engine is just a middleman. That's it. Google's just becoming the middleman now. Even it identifies it with AI mode and AI overview, and how quickly those products have actually been released this year in response to platforms like Claude, Perplexity, and ChatGPT. So customers get answers directly on Google, but you can also get answers directly, not just on Google, ChatGPT, TikTok. TikTok is another search platform. You can target ads on TikTok by actual search keywords in terms of what people are actually doing. You got LinkedIn, Reddit, YouTube. I think Google said about a month or 6 weeks ago that actually your content from Instagram feeds can now be crawled as well. So social media is like another forum in which we can use. So what you need to do is your SEO needs to be omni-channel now. It's not just Google, it's not just Bing, it's YouTube, it's ChatGPT, it's Claude, it's Perplexity, it's AI Overview, it's AI Mode, it's everything. Essentially, it's Reddit, Quora, it's anything you can think of now, it's become omni-channel. And that's just one element of digital marketing when we're talking about search. We haven't even begun to talk about, Meta ads or LinkedIn ads or TikTok ads or Google ads or where that falls into it. So there's that shift from SEO to answer engine optimization. So the example I have on the right was like one of our clients, like top insurance technology consulting companies in the UK, which I tapped into ChatGPT. And look, it'll start linking it. Willis Towers, I can't pronounce the second one, Oxbow Partners and stuff like this. So we use this as an example for a client that we pitched to, which we ended up winning. Yay. Use it in a showcase like, actually, you need to stop moving away from, yes, you're really good in Google in terms of positioning, but you're not in an AI overview, you're not in Quora, you're not got any good YouTube content, you're not going to go where the technical questions are being asked about insurance elements in terms of what you want. SEO focused on rank, AEO is all about being the answer, and we can see that as a great example there. What's the good and bad of all this? So the good is, by the time someone lands on your site, they're already 70% down the funnel. So less searching for info, more decision making. It also means that AI tools do a lot of the heavy lifting for you in terms of what you want it to do. In summarizing and comparing the recommendations based on the content in the search results. You're part of the shortlist before the click even starts. The bad is, well, the most important branding directions now happen off-site and we can't track it. I gave the example of the clicker, couldn't track all that. It's misattribution of what's going on. If your content isn't AI ready, you won't get picked. You're not going to come up in an AI overview, you're not going to come through ChatGPT. So what are the optimizations you actually need to do? This is where we get into like just the quick, cool stuff of what it is you can actually start doing now, start optimizing your content for AEO. First one is FAQs. Sounds simple, sounds basic, but frequently asked questions. I've had a new website coming for like 18 months, and I keep saying it'll go live next month. The reason for it is the landscape within search has changed so much that actually if you're on a website, it says we're an agile digital marketing agency. I'm actually rebranding as an AI digital marketing agency because of the tech tool that I've been building in the background to launch. But I had an SEO page ready to go, but now I'm building out an AEO ready page ready to go as a service. So it's moving so quickly, I haven't been able to get my site ready. But one of the things we realized, which was helping us, because if you type in PPC agency leads, we're number one and we have been for a long time. But what we found is our rankings for like SEO agency leads were dropping off because the site wasn't ready for it and it wasn't fundamentally right or technically right for SEO. So I'm going to use myself as an example here, but that's why it's important. So what we realized is we're missing quite a few FAQs, or frequently asked questions. And I don't mean on every single blog and every single page you have on your site having FAQ questions. What we've decided to do is on the PPC pages, we're going to have a few FAQs relevant to questions around Google, Bing, and elements like that so we can start appearing into it. On the SEO page and the AEO page that we're creating, there's a few FAQs on that. Not in the blogs. The blogs are going to focus on a different element, so we might have a wider FAQ page. But it works. It addresses a user objection. You can create content that get featured in featured snippets. People also ask, remember that little video of what comes up? That's where you want to start appearing. But you can get marked up with structured data to further support AEO. Question-based articles. Now this one's really, really important because right now there's two things you should start doing with your content. You got your traditional H1, H2 headers, but in like maybe H2, H3, H4, depending how long your content is, you want to start putting questions in the header of your content as opposed to just focusing on that keyword. Now that is going to cause a lot of disruption to your SEO because if that page does quite well and you start changing your H3, it could cause a knock-on effect on authority and your position and ranking. So if it's a good page, really think about it. But what you could do is start creating blog posts that answer specific questions, directly answering what the user's searching for in relation to your service or product, or what, if you hear from an agency, what your clients are doing. What that does is it drives traffic to the site, increasing your chance of getting an AI overview or GPT response. And why is it important? Look at how your blogs are done on a website. This is just an example for one of our clients. This is from ChatGPT. So earlier this year, I think summer, I did a talk to my team in terms of like the landscape. We do like a 6-month company update internally with all our staff, and we give them sorry, this mic's really chaotic. So we give them a little bit of an update. And I was doing some research, like what is going on in H2O. So the response that came from ChatGPT was overall, test 1, 2, 3. I think we got a problem, Mike. So as an overall, UK agencies ended like H2 with guarded expectations compared to H1, digital momentum, create differential, blah, blah, blah. Let me know if you want me to deep dive into specific sectors. So that's Friday, giving me a response to ChatGPT. Relevant UK industry news, Business Insider, The Guardian, Financial Times. Now, usually, if you've got the basic ChatGPT, you're just going to get links to websites. If you've got the Pro, it comes up like a blog. Your image gets crawled through, your headline gets crawled through, and your website. That's ChatGPT. And it almost looks like it's something from Google. So that's quite an interesting feature, and I instantly took a screenshot because I think I can use this in a talk further down when I'm trying to explain why blogs are quite important and how it can be scraped. It's already scraping things from Financial Times and The Guardian. So that creates another question in terms of where does AEO sit and where do you build the authority outside of links? Now, we all remember old school, black hat SEO tactics in terms of link building. It actually means your content writing within your PR strategy is going to become more important, because the better your PR that gets featured in articles that answer specific questions, the more chances you're going to get referred as a business or something from that article or website. So link building could potentially be back on the increase through PR activity. I don't do PR, so I haven't got a dog or a fight into this case. And I'm not a big fan of PR, sorry. But I'm digital, it is what it is. But that's just how things work. So just look at how it's presenting the information on ChatGPT from blogs and articles like it's something on a website. So this is where it's really important to make sure your content is fully optimized to answer questions. And that shift. This is some data from Spotlight. The data basically explains content type distribution by LLM as a percentage. At the bottom, you've got AI Mode, AI Overview, ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, Grok, and Perplexity, the main ones, right? So the reason I'm showing you this one, because what this graph does is it breaks things by, in terms of content distribution, by blog, guide tutorial, article. We've got listicle, product page, wiki knowledge page base, home base, and social media. So you can actually see by platform what's the content distribution type. Remember, you're going to get the slides, that's why I put it in there, and the data is really, really good. You can see on like AI Mode, just under 30% of it comes from blogs. AI Overview, around about 25% it comes from blogs. A bit lower on ChatGPT, Copilot, Gemini, but then above that we can see guide tutorials. So this is where you can provide guide tutorials on your site, is a big chunk. Product pages, so if you're an e-commerce website, look, Copilot's huge in terms of the space it gets its information from. So you can see the different types of content you're going to have to start creating and where do these platforms pull it from. Now I'm going to talk about Spotlight a bit more in a few slides, but you can also do something called what we call a NAP analysis. Name, address, and phone number. what we find is like if your Google My Business isn't set up, an LLM tool like ChatGPT or Perplexity or Claude can't find you. So don't just think about having a Google My Business profile page. Make sure you set up on Bing. Make sure you set up on like your Safari and different elements. Make sure you're represented in multiple platforms. Because answer engines use information from directories to support their algorithms. That's something that we found. That when we improved their NAP position, that actually they got found in AI overviews, or it gave it a little bit of an extra boost in terms of winning that AI prompt. So what you need to start doing is what we call SEO audits. And we started realizing this when we've got a client called Milliken based in Manchester, a Capital Luxury Vinyl Tile client. And we created a blog with them about neurodiversity. And the question we put into ChatGPT was, can you give me some statistics on neurodiversity at work? And it said, certainly. And it gave a snippet from a blog from Milliken that we wrote. Because we started seeing an influx of traffic through Google Analytics on key pages. So what we started to do was go into GA4 and start looking at source medium, and we started typing in the different LLMs, ChatGPT, and that's how you can find it right now, because it doesn't come through direct, as I gave in the example earlier. It doesn't come through organic as a way, well, it doesn't come through organic, like I said earlier, it comes through different channels. So you can start seeing in GA4, where is this actual content coming from? Where is it being featured? But GA4 is limited right now in terms of the data it's giving you. And I guess hands up if you're struggling to really get insights from it around AI overviews. I know we are. So I ended up being at a conference and I bumped into someone in an elevator and they started telling me about this tool called Spotlight that they're developing and going for Elements. And I was like, tell me about it. And it's the first AI prompt SEO tool out in the market. Test, oh thank God, in the market. So we use a tool called Spotlight. Now I'm not here to sell Spotlight, but they have given me a really good deal. So I've just finalized a partnership with them to be the first agency partner for this product globally. And the reason for it is, it has been a game changer in terms of us being known as like an AEO agency when we're technically not fully yet in terms of what we've done, because it does key things. And I'm just going to come up to this side. So there's an image at the front, at the top, and all it does is, and we did this as part of an audit for our client we won, where it looked at queries on the top left. And an example was like, what is a zero trust architecture? And it gave a status, if it was like, if we could proceed with it, it gave us the type, and it gave us an intent. So we use SEMrush, right? SEMrush gives us keyword intent. It breaks it up in the same way, which is awareness, intent, and then you've got consideration and purchase. So the type of query or prompt you're wanting to optimize for an AI overview, you can break down. Then what Spotlight does here is it looks at all those different LLMs, depending on what platform you go with, and it shows you if you want a prompt. So this one we use like best luxury menswear as an update. It says on ChatGPT we rank 1 of 8. We have one prompt around that we could do for our client that we featured for. So it gives like a traffic light system in terms of where you're good on different LLMs and where you're not. Then we could see what were our competitors doing and where were our competitors for our clients appearing in AI overviews and in ChatGPT and in Claude, in Perplexity, in Copilot. So we now have a view of what's going on in terms of people asking questions, doing keyword research or headline research around questions and seeing, right, this is the content we have, this is the question it answers, this is the question we want to put into ChatGPT, AI Gemini, where do we rank for that? And Spotlight started giving us the answer. And when we started checking the data, it was accurate. And not only could I see it from my clients, I could see it from where it compared to competitors in the industry, who had the AI overview, who had the best ChatGPT response. That way we could go and start reviewing and auditing their pages to see what was the structure of their pages and how could we start adapting that for answer engine optimization instead of basic SEO optimization. So we use that tool in a very strategic way, and we've been using it for 6 months now, since the start of the year. That's why I'm now in a position to actually start talking about AEO, even though I'm not an expert on it. So what it does is start with strategy. Know the question that your customer is trying to think of. Benchmark the field. Who's winning? who's invisible. Secondly, choose your battles. Just like you choose your battles with ranking for keywords based on keyword difficulty, choose your battles. Where are the quick wins? Where do we need to nurture the content over long term to start featuring towards actual queries and like prompts that we need to put in? Then it's tactical. What Spotlight started doing, it started reverse engineering the actual machines. So it was tracing the sources and the citations they trust the most. So that's where we talk about link building and authority and how that's probably going to change in the next couple of years in terms of where it comes from. It was deconstructing the winning content and analysing the URLs and the citations and what was winning in the surface. But more importantly, it was helping us build authority. Where do we need to focus on which pages and which blogs and which elements could we start ranking and optimizing for prompts? Started putting in H3, H4 headers in. Which kind of like articles could we start putting internal links to other ones to kind of start answering questions and change the design of client sites for answer engine optimization, which meant over time, as Google and ChatGPT and AI mode and AI Gemini all started crawling our site, our clients' responses started winning in AI overviews more than anything else. The downside is we can't track the attribution towards that. But our clients are telling us we are getting more inquiries, but it seems to be coming from direct or they're calling up, and I'm like, yeah, of course, it's because someone had the idea just to call you. No, they did their research first. So, just some final thoughts is audit. You need to start auditing your content for AI visibility now more than anything else. Content's still going to win. If you consider the EEAT guidelines from Google, still follow them, but you need to start looking at, which content's winning and which content can start winning, not just for rankings, but for actually answering the question. Have you started exploring different platforms like Quora, Reddit, YouTube? And again, video is going to be a key part of how people actually consume their information and content. Look at Mr Beast and how short his videos are. Shift from strategy, from rankings to relevance. So we're telling our clients like, yeah, rankings are good, that's great, but we want to be more relevant to your core audience. So what happens is you start niching down with your content strategy in terms of what you're doing. It creates clarity and context, and then you become the trusted answer. Remember, there's only one AI overview you can have. There's only one zero click. And once you've got it, it's kind of what we found is it's kind of very hard to kind of knock someone off their perch, where it's easy to knock someone off their perch when you're position 2 and trying to go for position 1 from rankings from an SEO point of view. So that's what it is. Get it now and dominate and be the answer instead of having to fight later on. Expand your SEO beyond Google. I've just mentioned that. Look at ChatGPT. Look at your FAQ section on your site, your blogs, Quora, Reddit, YouTube, etc. Social media. Remember, if anyone remembers Lion King, you always forgot about Mufasa. Always remember, consumer habits are changing fast. There's no time for patience anymore. We want the answer, we want it quick, and we want to be able to move on with things. That's the mind in the consumer behavior world we're in. And that's where SEO is going, is you've got to be the first to give the answer. And if you give the answer, you're more likely to get the lead, you're more likely to get the sale. While Google still dominates, all the growth is AI. That's what we're seeing with the data, and that's where we're going. Google's not growing, but we're seeing platforms like Claude, Perplexity, Grok, ChatGPT really coming to the fore, and there'll be another one by the end of the year, probably, that does something a bit different or provides a bit more clarity. We're in what we call the zero-click era now. Position 1 used to be great, but now it's all about zero-click. Are you in the AI overview? Are you in? People also asked, have you got a YouTube video up that relates to it, that gives the user, watch this video from minute 2 minutes to 3 minutes to get the answer you're looking for, elements like that. And then the good news is when you do appear, you're going to get shortlisted and you're going to win the sale. The bad news is, right now, it's not that trackable. All you can focus on is where do you appear. Why do we use Spotlight? Like I said, we're one of the few sponsors. We're working with Samsung and a few other things on the side of this. I can't obviously give too much details on that. But we started using Spotlight to start getting answers. I honestly tell you, and I get nothing from this. I'm always just an advocate of education. Is if you want to start understanding where you're appearing in AI overviews in different LLMs, this tool does it. We've been playing around with it for 6 months. And everyone keeps asking me, well, how did you see what was the intent by prompt or query? And how do you know what your competitors are ranking for? And I said, well, we just use this. But I was smart enough to get in early and become their first agency partner. And they've been taking feedback from us. And now we've introduced some bigger agencies to start actually getting them in place so they can get more feedback from agencies of what we as experts in the room want to see from this tool that's going to help us do a better job. They decoded elements from day one. They've chosen market leaders. They've built for agencies along high margins. It's more than a platform partner. And for all of you today, I got them to give you a coupon, a code. It's in the slides. But you can get a 7-day trial of it and you get 30 months off your first 2 months you're going to grow a pro plan. Play with it. Last year, test, we out. Has it died? Oh, it's saying low battery, that's what it's saying. So last year I did a talk which was, it was supercharge your SEO with AI tools. And I went through multiple different AI tools that I was telling people we've been using to test as part of our basic traditional SEO tactics to increase efficiency, to be able to get work done faster and not rely on AI tools to write content, but optimize it. But now this year, we've really started honing down just on 2-3 different tools. And the main one we've been using is Spotlight. And it's been doing an absolutely amazing job for us. And it's been saving us a lot of time. You get 100 prompts. You don't need more than 100 prompts, because let's be honest with you, how many keywords are we really actively optimizing for rankings, for SEO, for our clients or for our businesses? There's only a handful of what you do in terms of, especially if you're a niche business. So I'd recommend going on and trying that tool at the very least. There's nothing in it for me. I just said, look, I'm going to be at a tool and I know everybody's going to ask me where do you get all this data and insights from. And Spotlight gave me quite a lot of data and insights of what's going on, because they have so many brands now they're working with. I mean, they have all our clients' data, which they're aggregating, which is fantastic. And we're able to see trends and analysis of what's going on within that area. There's other talks for you to watch if you want. So I mentioned the Supercharge Your SEO with AI tools, why you're not ranking position 1 for Google, tackling Google in a digital age, digital AI age and stuff like that. When AI meets SEO, brands get noticed. There's quite a lot of talks I've done in the last probably 12 to 18 months that I would just highly recommend just going on our YouTube. And when you've got 35, 40 minutes, maybe in the lunch break or in the evening, just watch it, and there's links to slides to all of that again. So if you want to get more of a basic understanding of how I evolved to this talk, the previous talks are all there. And if you want to book a call in with me, you want to discuss your SEO, or if you want to discuss strategy for an agency, because we're collaborating with quite a few people on this, because I only know as much as I research or how much I talk to other people. There'll be people from agencies in this room. You're here to learn. I want to see what you're doing as well, because I want to learn, because there's no defined answer to this yet, because it's still so new. We know what works in terms of optimizations, but I can't give you a full roadmap of what to fully do like I could with basic SEO tactics instead of AEO in terms of how it works. And that's where I will open it up to questions. So that was bang on, around about 45 minutes. So thank you for listening. I will open it up to any questions anyone has, except Jonathan for any technical questions. Only joking. Yeah.
You mentioned about AI mentions rather.
Yeah.
So Spotlight, I'm guessing, is that, is it?
Yeah. So the reason I use Spotlight for the AI reviews, because it tells me across all the different LMs. You know that when I showed you the content breakdown by percentage, was it a blog? Was it the home page? By all those elements, it tells me who's got the current AI overview. And it tells me, does that client, if I want to optimize for that question within for an AI overview, do we have a position? Where are we failing on that? So I can see who's got position 1. I can dissect that structure and content and authority by using wider SEO tools. And then I can look at my content, obviously not duplicate what they're doing, write in our own client's tone of voice, and look at, right, how can we start competing against that AI overview? Or how can we look at AI overviews that don't have one? Remember, like, only 40 to 50% of search results produce an AI overview, and about a good 50% of them aren't fully optimized, so you can actually win that position back, because it's just ChatGPT crawling based on traditional SEO rankings, essentially, and what it can pick up. So you can really use that tool to see, right, based on what service you have as a business, what you want to see, look, the example I gave was zero point architecture for our client, which was a very niche element. And they were missing out on so many AEO views on technical questions. There was, again, the search volume is not going to be high, but you still want to be the answer to the question that people have, because if they do, that's where they're more likely going to go to get the service or buy or get their insight from. So it gives you that, but it also tells you who's number one, who's got that AEO view, who's got the response for that query or prompt. Yeah.
I have a question. Working with websites, we do use CMS. So how does that affect like the SEOs?
So you said working with websites, you use a CMS, content management system, CMS, and how does that work with AEO? So it's just, there's nothing different you've got to do within the CMS except you need to start looking at, first of all, I'd do a user flow analysis for your GA4 to see where people are dropping off. I'd have a look at where you're ranking quite well in terms of what pages are ranking quite well, and I would start looking at, right, if I start answering specific questions, and I always say that, think strategically, what is the question people are answering? So when you're optimizing your blogs or content, create an FAQ section at the bottom of a key service page, or actually create a blog that answers that questions, but have it internally linked to the core page on the site, where there might be a section saying, you know, people also viewed these pages with answering some questions.
I don't know if we got the same like meaning for the terminology. The content management, like when you use when the website just posts the information from like a spreadsheet kind of thing. Get it, whatever.
No, because when you say
Like
content
when
management
you're
system.
not typing directly in the page is pulling the data from somewhere else.
Yeah.
From like the database from the website. So how does that affect the AEO?
So if you have you're saying you have a website where the data is being pulled from a different sheet or system, from a database.
Yeah, like the pages are like, let's say, they're dynamic pages.
Yeah.
And the database has all the information that, and then like you create different pages from the database.
Yeah.
So how does that?
You'd have to start working within the database to make sure that what you're pulling through to your site works quite well. So again, it just comes.
Working, I'm just not
Yeah.
sure like if it's.
But have you thought about what goes into the database in terms of what you're putting into that main sheet?
Yeah.
Like in terms of like, I assume you're putting in your H1s, your H2s, all your content's written in there. You've probably got a link to a WebP format of an image that's getting pulled through. So within that database is where you need to start changing the structure. I do it for one page, test it, and then see what data comes through, and then start applying it to the rest of your database. You're gonna have to,
Can analyze it.
I don't know the answer to that question, but I can do an introduction and find out for you. Does that work? Any other questions? So I was very technical. Yes, I'll start over.
Does content that's kind of AI assisted to be written, for example, get penalised more than if it was kind of, do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so the question here was, does AI written content get penalised more than human written content when it comes to AI overviews?
Yeah, so I read that YouTube was going to start penalising content that was fully generated with AI videos.
So I was at a talk probably about 6 months ago, and it said that human written content outperforms AI written content like 4-1 roughly in terms of elements. I stay away from wholly AI written content. My advice when I was talking about, you know, AI within SEO is all about use it to format your headings, your titles, your H1s, your H2s. Use it to, you know, get the data you need as part of your content to make sure it's accurate. I'd never advocate for ChatGPT to write your entire website content. It doesn't understand the terminology probably as well. It doesn't understand your client's tone of voice. There's a lot of things that experts in this room know offhand that, you know, ChatGPT or a tool like AGM doesn't. So I'd say it probably will, but I don't know the answer to that. This is what I mean, it's still a learning curve. But the only way to do it is A/B test. I'd have one page and let AI do it and give it a prompt in terms of structure, and then write a different content page yourself and see, right, in H3 I've put a question, a query as my H in terms of like a question format. Has that done better from an AI written content to human written content? I'd probably guess the human written content will perform quicker and better, because the problem I think with AI written content is a lot of duplication. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think there's a lot of duplication. It's not going to give you, if we put the same question into ChatGPT, it's going to produce the same response. The same way you put a question into Google, it's going to give you the same organic rankings. I'm not going to get different, unless it's localized for, let's say, Leeds or something like that. But generally, you're going to get the same response for often. So it's like you want to make sure it's different. So it's going to give you a piece of content. Someone's asked someone else to write that piece of content. It's going to be very, very similar. It won't be exact, but it's going to be similar. And then with Bard and everything that's coming out, well, it used to be Bard, wasn't it? Was it Bard sometime? It used to be Bard by Google. Yeah. So there's like there's cryptographic watermarking now for AI, so that tools can actually sense it. So that's just something you've got to be aware of. There were a couple of questions in the middle. You're just going to have to shout it out a little. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Can we rely on the AI engines to show the localized content? So say if we're tackling, how to teach a child to read, can we rely on it showing something relevant for the Canadian market, for someone searching in Canada, and not show what we have ranking in AI chats for England? Because obviously we're going to have different, not just like the language like spelling, but different curriculum links and things like that.
Well, we're really getting on from href tags, aren't we? The only answer is I don't know. What I did talk about was the NAP analysis, name, address. And what we found was with some of our clients, we're doing this for a global insurance company right now. So I actually might have the answer in 3 to 6 months, sorry. It's because we're starting in the UK market right now, focus on health, insurance that you can get within companies. And then if it works there, what we found was when we did the NAP analysis, they were missing out on so many. When we started optimizing that, they started being seen and building a bit more authority locally within the actual LLMs. I can't answer that question in terms of international because I haven't done it and optimized it for localized. I've only really done it for the UK. But our next step is to implement that across 58 other different countries next year. So once we start seeing the results from the UK. So maybe this time next year, I might have the answer. But this is what I mean. You've got to try it right now, A/B test it. I think it will. I think you're probably on the right thing. I think you will need to optimize it for localized content. And that's why the NAP analysis is so important. But in terms of, you're going to have to think about different languages. We're doing this because we have an office in Dubai as well as the UK. So the Arabic language translation becomes a real pain point in terms of what's happening over there. So it will, but I don't know. I don't have the stats at hand, to be honest, to be transparent with you. Sorry, I couldn't have them. Any questions?
My question is, I think that we're in the Ask Jeeves era of AI at the moment. Nobody really knows who's going to come out on top. But I wonder whether or not you have an idea of who that might be, and whether or not there may be global differences, and whether or not different AI tools might just answer different questions.
I think it's going to be like Terminator or iRobot, and we're all doomed, to be honest with you. No, I think the top 3 will be obviously Google, because Google's really pushing forward with AI Gen AI mode. ChatGPT is probably the biggest threat to Google's ever had in its lifespan. And they don't want to admit it, but when I was down at Google's offices earlier this year, they were like talking about, well, we're better than ChatGPT in this way. And I'm like, why are you referencing ChatGPT? You're a monopoly globally. But even a monopoly globally is concerned because of how much money OpenAI has, and it's backed by Microsoft. Microsoft has Bing, and it has LinkedIn from a B2B perspective. So when you start putting the different puzzles together, you're gonna have, ChatGPT will have ads or something eventually in it, I think, in the next 5 years. I can't go to see what's gonna happen, but the big ones are gonna win out as the ones that have the most money. And that is going to be ChatGPT and OpenAI, and it's gonna be Google. And it'll probably be a head-to-head battle with them. It depends, because you decide who wins. So if you guys start using Perplexity or Claude or Grok more, they win. If we start using ChatGPT more than Google, ChatGPT wins. The user will define that answer, essentially, in the future, because whatever we found gives us the best response, or gets us that answer first, and what is more of a seamless process. Look at that. Look at Apple and how much they're investing into their Apple Intelligence. Look at Meta and what they're doing with their Meta AI. So maybe not even 2, you're probably going to have 5 big ones. Like you have the big 4 in terms of accountancy firms, the UI and thing, you'll probably have a big 5 when it comes to stuff like that. It's only going to create problems for you, because you're going to have to not consider, right now, let's be honest with you, we optimize most of our work for Google when it comes to SEO, right? We don't really give two shits about Bing, but the good people think about Bing once they've sorted out Google. You're going to have to consider 5 tools at the very least. We use Spotlight because it looks at 8 different key ones in the market, and they're going to launch other ones. So that's why I've jumped ahead of it, because I'm able to optimize for 8 different tools straight away in one. Any other questions? We've got 2. I'll come to the back and then I'll come to you. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So just on link building, you mentioned it's going to change in the next few years, like you have, but in what way and where do you see it going? And then, like, is that because you think that, like, AI and links are using the same sorts of metrics as Google was for that terms?
Link building, that's a tough one. I'll be honest with you, I think, if I talk to my team, we haven't really built as many links in the last 6 months as probably we did in 2024. So what we are doing is, for some of our bigger international clients, they have a dedicated PR agency, and we're working really closely with them. So all we're doing is looking at, right, we've got our top keywords that we want to rank for, that we are ranking for. We've got a list of 100 prompts and queries that we want to feature in AI View. We have a content plan for traditional rankings, then we have a content plan for queries and AI overviews. And what we're doing is we're working with the PR teams to say, right, this is the content we want you to go get featured in Financial Times or in this element, because it answers the question. And the reason for that is based on the evidence where ChatGPT was pulling through sources from publications, but it also pull it through your website. So I don't think link building will be as important in the next 2 years, because ChatGPT's, if you're in the top 3 pages of Google, if you're right there, it'll just go to your website more for elements. What does that mean in terms of people wanting to then feature links in your site and, domain authority? I actually don't know, but that's why I say it's going to change in the next 2 years. But what we're focusing on now is quality over quantity. And it has been that case for years. It's always been quality over quantity. But put it this way, I don't really care about telling my client, we built you a link on so-and-so site which has a little bit of scripture. I'm more focused on the AI AEO optimization and saying, look, if we optimize your site, your website URL will get crawled through by ChatGPT, not because it's based on Financial Times. So we can get you in without going and building that authority. But again, I'm going to contradict myself here, because I'm going to say you still need the basics of SEO in place to do AEO. Does that make sense? You still need a strong technical authoritative background. You're not going to, outbid Adidas on a product page when you're a reseller, when Adidas has the core product. It's just not going to happen. Do you see what I mean? So you've got to pick your battles as well. Where does that authority come from? You had a question as well.
Just from a more technical perspective, so I'm a developer, so I was wondering if you have any thoughts, or have you noticed anything with your clients in terms that would be useful in terms of when you're planning and then building a website? Obviously, not talking about the basics like semantic HTML, but even from planning the website to building to even we know Cloudflare started blocking AI bots by default, so that's also more like a dev decision to maybe untoggle that and make sure that your content's being accessible to AI bots. But I was just wondering from dev perspective, have you noticed anything that you should be doing or not?
I think from a dev perspective, we really focus on the core web vitals, from Google to make sure it's technically sound, because that plays a key role in AI overviews in terms of usability and be able to making sure if you're going to have a whole new blog site going on the site and it has images, the WebP formats, for example, and stuff like that, making sure it's mobile responsive in line with Google's algorithm requirements. So you still got to do the basics of that. But what we're doing, not from a technical perspective, but more from a design perspective or structure perspective in terms of the sitemap, is we're saying, well, actually, your traditional sitemap was like this, but we want the page to have subcategories like FAQs or internal links or more blogs. So what we want is a seamless process for them to get from one piece of content to the answer. So if they've come through a ranking and then they want an answer to a question, it's there. Or if they have one answered question from a blog or an article or a white labeled piece of document, there's something else for them as well, because we know the longer we keep them on site, the higher chance of conversion further down the funnel. So we're not a web dev agency, we more look at it from technical, but we look at it more from a site map point of view. So when clients say we're redoing the site, well, we say, well, we need to make sure the basics of SEO are there, and that we make sure that everything gets migrated over from an SEO perspective quite efficiently. But let's start thinking about, right, where is the FAQ section going to go? Which blogs are going to do this? How are we going to subcategorize blogs by questions or queries or topics or elements like that? So like with my new site, you can actually access all my podcasts by clicking on search topic type. So if you say SEO, it'll start telling you which podcasts are on SEO and start automating. So it's more like structural dev work like that, where people can get to specific topics of interest quicker around blogs and elements that's more relevant to them. You just want to make the user flow journey as a dev perspective easier. Like I said, 7% happens off-site, so the quicker they can get the answer or get to the information they want, the more chance they'll have further down the conversion. Hope that helps. Any other questions? There's one in the middle. It's probably the most questions I've had.
Yeah, it's just more about when you said that like page one is not dead due to AI overview.
Yeah.
But is it likely that if you're on page one, you are going to be in the AI overviews anyway?
I think so. I think if you've already got the authority and you've done the basics of SEO, if you're not in an AI overview for it, but remember that blue link is for ranking for a keyword. It's the AI overviews start coming through when you're realistically putting in more question-based queries into Google or AI Gemini. So what you're going to have to start doing is start looking at, right, what position ones do we have? How many of them are AI overviews or AI mode or featuring ChatGPT based on source traffic in GA4? And then look at, right, well, where do I need to tweak that content? Because it already has the authority to start winning further up on the zero click instead of position one. Any other questions? Yeah, go on, Sarah, go on. No.
I'm sorry if this is a really daft question.
No.
And you've answered this, but in that AI overview, how is it deciding where the best stuff to scrape that content and which links to link to? Like, how is it, like, I know
So how does a ChatGPT decide you're the right content? The same way Google decides why you should be position one, in the sense that you've done and ticked the elements of what it comes from. From a technical SEO point of view, you need to start reading the SG playbook from Google in terms of what comes through in terms of generative responses in AI overview. So you have to do the deep learning to understand, well, how does the algorithm work? So I don't know fully how the ChatGPT algorithm works because it's such a beast, or the Claude or Perplexity one. That's why I kind of cheat, because I use Spotlight because it makes my life easier. But you need to start understanding how it works. It comes down to like the basics, like the EEAT guidelines, USB EAT, and stuff like that. So make sure your content has it. But by coming to talks like this, we're telling you, start doing FAQs, start making sure you've got questions in content. And then based on the ones that are answering the questions and have authority, it'll start scraping and pulling your site for more relevance. There's no magic. If I could answer that question, I think I'd be a billionaire. Because then I wouldn't tell you, and I'd just create an agency that does it, and then that's it. I'd win, and game over. But you've got to really understand how the algorithm works, and sometimes it can, what you think it does, you don't get the results you want as well, and then you're back to scratching your head. So it comes back down to strategy and understanding what's the purpose of what you're trying to do. I hope that helped. I don't. Yeah, ask ChatGPT. That's great. Any other questions? Right, fantastic. Thank you, everybody, for being such an amazing guest and turning up. Thank you, John, for not giving me a technical question, but did I do okay? Are you proud of me? Thank you. Thank you. There's some snacks and foods and some more coffee. Use this time to network. I'll be around answering questions and stuff, etc. for a bit, for then up till 11:30. So help yourself to food, drinks, network. Thank you. You've been an amazing crowd. Hopefully that's given you something to think about, talk away. PDF of the document will be sent to every single one of you, and then we'll announce it by email and on social media when the video recorder comes back. So you think he said something but I couldn't hear it, you'll be able to hear it back. Thank you very, very much.